weekend rates and...
There certainly is. There's tremendous value out there at those destination resorts, particularly midweek, particularly off-season. There's no question about it. And there's a lot of new product coming on stream in probably what would have been non-traditional tourism spots. You got Centre Park coming into Longford, into Ballymahon. There's 1,000 people going.
That's a huge story, because there's only 1-2 hotels in Longford at the moment, isn't there?
There's one hotel in Longford. There's another one. Period House is just coming in looking for registration.
And you now have a town the size of Granard, a campsite with the population of Granard.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's an intel in Longford. As well as that, in Eoghan's very
intel in Longford is a great thing.
You have very innovative development. For example, you've got Tater Park up in Ashburn. You have Quirky Glamping in Enniscrowan. As an entrepreneur over there, David McGowan, he's doing
What's the one in Enniscrowan?
In Enniscrowan, Quirky Glamping.
Yeah.
It's glamping themed on transportation. He brought a 737 up the Atlantic.
Publicity stunt of the year.
Double-decker buses, and there's a yacht, and there's London taxis, and there's now a helicopter from Mullingar. And it's really thinking outside the box and putting these regional places.
So a bit of innovation you can actually...
Yeah.
We have a question here from...
Hi, how are you? As somebody who travels around Ireland doing everything from glamping, camping to staying in spas and hotels around the place, a lot of what I look for in different regions is what the local food is like. Is it local? Was it caught there? Are there any up-and-coming areas that you guys think will be fantastic for 2017 and are a must-visit spot?
2017 food. Adrian, you're on.
Well, there's a lot of regions. Over the last 3 years, we've promoted a competition to try and find the best foodie destination in Ireland. So 3 years ago it was Donegal, 2 years ago it was the Burren and West Clare, and last year it was the Boyne Valley in Meath. And we work with Fáilte Ireland to try and develop regions through working with the local farmers and producers to have local product on Irish plates and in Irish restaurants. And to date we've about 20 very good regions around the country, and that's growing. And you could West Cork, you could see Galway, Connemara, and a lot of that is new to the tourism product, where you have communities working together. And I think that's something that we need to do more of in Ireland, where you might have different sectors working together. It might be the tourism industry and the agriculture industry, or the tourism industry and the forestry sector, developing product and developing.
But it's really, really hard, Adrian, to get a heifer from the field onto the plate in the local restaurant. Doreen Allen told me many years ago that it's really hard to actually get something, to buy something locally and get it in, because everything gets centralised, brought to County Tipperary and delivered back in vans the following day. Do we have a problem there, that the connection between the region that you're living in and the restaurant you're in? You can sit in a restaurant looking out at the Atlantic and the seafood has been brought in from Castletownbere.
We're not good at telling people on the menu exactly where all the products come from.
Right.
And that's something that we're trying to educate our members about, that you need to tell the story that those scallops were caught yesterday out in wherever, and personalise it. That fillet of beef came from whichever farm, and people are doing that. They're buying it locally, but they're not telling the story on the menus.
But are there regulatory problems getting the local cheesemaker to supply the restaurant directly, or to go down to the pier and buy the fish as they come in?
There is and there isn't. You know, certain places you will have some problems, but where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. And I've seen fantastic restaurants where every single dish is itemised, that say exactly where the product is coming from. But other places don't, and maybe they're falling behind. But you know, something that we need to educate our sector about. And it's talking about education in our industry. It's something that we've fallen back on because we haven't been investing in training over the last number of years, and there's a whole story around that as well.
When money gets short, training goes down. Sorry, Joe. Yeah.
I think your question is very appropriate in timing, because I think food is the new buzzword in tourism. A lot of visitors, particularly continental visitors, Germany, Switzerland, and so they're very much into their food, ethically sourced, environmentally prepared, local origin, box tea, for example. What's the local, any local synonymous with the local area and so on.
Truly, true man.
But absolutely. But as well as included, I would also include craft beers. Dingle Gin in Dingle, Gunpowder Gin in Drumshambo. We've craft beers all over the place. They're popping up.
How many breweries, distilleries now? It's about 30 breweries.
There's 128 breweries out there.
Yeah.
They're not all going to survive,
Yeah.
but there certainly is to give a uniqueness, a local sense of what's available and so on. And it really is the way forward. Slow food, and I don't mean slow service. I mean slow as in ethically sourced and environmentally and prepared and organically.
The opposite of fast food, I think, was the origin
yeah.
of the phrase.
Yeah.
I think, just to add to that, I think Irish food, when it's well done, food and drink is second to none. And I do think that we possibly should be doing more showcasing it to an international audience so that people come here and they go, I'm coming here to enjoy quality Irish meats and
Northern
fish
Ireland
and,
Year of Food and Drink, did it work?
And it seemed to work. It's kind of shone a spotlight
I'm not
shone a
sure,
spotlight
yeah.
on. If you think of our two big homegrown sectors, it's agri-food and tourism. And I think if you marry the two, it can work really well. So
Right.
I think within the Republic of Ireland, I think a sort of a thematic approach to food and drink could be very beneficial.
Do we have a question? Somebody here? If not, I'll come back to Owen. This regions thing is quite it's quite interesting how it's developed out, because the Wild Atlantic Way required no infrastructure. It just, a hammer and a nail and a sign, and they put it up along. There was no new roads built, and it was, as you say, immensely successful. I think Joe was saying immensely successful. The other two brands, we had the Dublin Breath of Fresh Air came in afterwards, and Ireland's Ancient East. What's the verdict on that? And because if you drive into Leitrim, I think you're in Ireland's Ancient East, and you go into Roscommon, you're not, and you're into East Limerick, you're in Ireland's Ancient East. It seems to have shoehorned a lot of diverse product which has nothing to do with each other into one big region.
I think it straddles about 18 counties or so. Just back to the Wild Atlantic Way for a moment, it was actually a tourism industry initiative. Because as you say, the Wild Atlantic Way effectively is the western seaboard of the country, and it had been there since time immemorial. But the industry, about 6-7 years ago, said we need to create a concept and an Atlantic coastal branded route. And Fáilte Ireland and the local authorities, to give them their credit, devised the Wild Atlantic Way.
And whose idea was it?
It was the Irish tourist industry, the tourism industry's idea.
It came from ITIC, did it?
Yeah, it came from ITIC. We surveyed sort of western seaboard industry players, and they went, we need a kind of a consistent, cohesive branded identity for our route. Ireland's Ancient East obviously has subsequently followed. It's work in progress. It's only about 2 or 3 years old. It's a Fáilte Ireland initiative. It's very much tailored towards the international audience who don't really think as sort of county-based as we do. There is a gap there, I think. Adrian or Joe mentioned it.
The hole in the middle still hasn't been filled.
That kind of the Shannon area, the Lakelands, the sort of the Midlands. They're obviously not in Wild Atlantic Way. They're not a natural fit, to my mind, in Ireland's Ancient East. So I think there's certainly scope there to develop a new identity or a new concept for that area.
It's been talked about for a while, but I gather it's still at least 2 years away.
I think it's in, going political, I think it's in the programme for government. So there's a commitment now that the agencies, the tourism agencies have to look at it.
And do brands mean anything domestically?
Sorry? Do
brands mean anything to a domestic tourist?
I think they mean less, simply because we know Ireland better. And you're going down to Mayo, or you're going to Longford to visit the aunt, or to spend a weekend in a hotel. I think it means less, but it still all helps.
Have we a question from... Yes, we have. We've somebody down here. Oh, we've two. Yeah, we've somebody in the back.
Okay, in terms of the brand donut, if you like, the missing link, all tourism marketing is destination based, and without a real destination, we're really at a loss. And whilst we're also talking about shoehorning in various places into Ireland's Ancient East, it doesn't answer the question of what are we going to do, and what we need to do, and how are we going to achieve it.
Sure.
He said the brands are destination based, and Ireland's Ancient East hasn't really solved the problem. What do we need to do to cover that area that's covered already by that brand? What do we really need to do to get a bit of excitement about it?
Well, I think both Joe and I come from towns on the River Shannon, and I think
we have Portumna and Carrick-on-Shannon here, the two capitals of the Shannon in terms of boat rentals.
So in my view, having worked in tourism all my life and having looked at highs and lows in the tourism industry, I think that there is a brand that should be developed around water, and we have one of the best waterways network and system in Europe, and there is a market out there for predominantly mainland Europeans that would like to come to Ireland to use the waterway network as a holiday base. And it's about engagement and bringing communities together, that they work together on a cross-county or cross-area basis, and developing a brand around that. But in my own personal opinion, there isn't a willingness by the agencies to do this, that they don't want to do it. But there's, from a ground up, there is a lot of communities out there, and they feel they're being left behind. They see that the Western Seaboard, they've got theirs, and on the East and Dublin, there's
a bit of rivalry,
exactly, and all
fragmentation.
They want to be part and included in the tourism industry and revival of their area, and there's a willingness to get behind a brand. So we need the agencies to say, listen, we will have this done and ready by 2018. We've 1 year to do it.
And 2018, 1 year to do it.
There's no
set
point.
a target,
get it done.
Get it done.
Make it happen.
And it's as simple as the Shannon, isn't it?
It's as simple
as
the
Shannon. Ireland's ancient East is very complicated. But if you say just that magic word Shannon, everybody
it's
around the world...
the waterways, the navigatable route from Enniskillen right down to Killaloe and so on, is the longest navigatable waterway, I understand, in the UK and Ireland. So it's pretty...
just in Ireland, UK.
And the UK. It's pretty unique. And I think Adrian's right. And the danger of not doing something like that is you will have local brands popping up, and it'll become terribly fragmented. Whereas if we can cluster things around three at the moment and add one more strong, consistent, cohesive, branded identity, I think it'll help the region as a whole.
We have a question here from the second row here. Thanks.
Hiya. I'm just wondering, do you see a risk in the 5 counties you mentioned that have the 80% of the visitors actually losing their appeal, or some of their appeal? Because what Ireland is about, for me at least, is like the tradition, that it's very, very not commercialized, basically. Do you see a risk in by not getting tourists anywhere else or not to other places? Do you see a risk of those places being overrun and losing their appeal?
Okay, and it's a very interesting point. A lot of people come to the least visited parts of Ireland because there are no tourists. It's, you get it. Your point is that it would lose its appeal if we flooded every county of Ireland with tourists and that sort of. Let's face it, that's how we market ourselves internationally. It's a different pace of life. People take care to have conversations with you. Should we be careful what we do with our regions, that we don't flush them with stag parties from Eastbourne and...
Maybe I can take that one, Adrian, because I come from that part of the world. I come from Leitrim. It's the only county in Ireland with no McDonald's. The highest building is 3 stories.
No McDonald's. The highest building is?
The highest building is 3 stories, and that includes the basement. And only recently we've just got traffic lights. Look, there's a balance, okay?
It's heaven.
And there's a balance between mass tourism, right? But the reality is, up there, tourism is actually, relatively speaking, more important. And it's because it's the only show in town relative to manufacturing or retail or service. But believe me, there's a lot of places we're a long way. There's plenty of capacity for slow green tourism up there, and that the community, there's economic development, there's job creation, and there's plenty of opportunity to visitors to come and have a very good green experience and hopefully come back again.
So you're a long way to go before you lose the appeal.
Very much so.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think just
more question. I don't see any hands at all.
Just to build on Joe's point, Eoghan, I think we do need that regional dispersion of tourism, because in fact some of the tourism magnates at the moment are getting overrun.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to the Cliffs of Moher during the summer months, you know, the car, you can't get into the car park. There's a queue for the car park. The Guinness Storehouse here in Dublin, you have to sort of pre-book and
you
so on.
actually have different prices now for the first time for going to the Cliffs of Moher early in the morning in summertime. And it's mainly done through the trade to coach tours and things like that. But our key attractions are looking at price managing, because getting in and out of the Cliffs of Moher in peak periods in July is a drama. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, and yet we have the Slieve League Mountains in Donegal, which are equally stunning and so on.
Yeah,
virtually
Slieve League, yeah.
Virtually not visited at all, simply because they're not as well known, or there's maybe not the tourism infrastructure
there.
There's
only a narrow road as well.
Yeah, so you know, I think we have to think regional dispersion, I think, is good for tourism,
for the attractions,
tourism as a whole, but it's very important, because otherwise the sort of tourism hotspots that will always be hotspots will themselves become overrun, which will damage the product.
And we need more attractions. I think that's pretty much what you said at the beginning.
Yeah, I think I mentioned at the start that the state doesn't invest enough in tourism attractions. Yeah. And really, particularly for international tourists, they kind of need things of scale and of size. And I think parts of the country are really lacking in terms of big, internationally appealing tourism attractions.
I'll bring it to a halt now. We have another question here from somebody here.
Hi, I'm from Donegal Tourism.
From Donegal?
Yeah, from Donegal Tourism. And you just mentioned the Slieve League Cliffs. And I suppose Donegal recently has really come under the spotlight. We've won the National Geographic Coolest Place in the World, and an award that followed, the Hidden Gem in Ireland. And I suppose my question really is, how do we capitalise on the interest that we're getting, and how would you recommend that we kind of market ourselves to bring more visitors into the county?
Okay, how do you capitalise on Donegal it was actually named the most forgotten part of Ireland by the Irish Independent Reader Survey quite recently, last week, and it's won obviously Harvey's Point, TripAdvisor, National Geographic, and it's got all of this international publicity. When the wind starts blowing your way publicity-wise, how do you actually capitalise on that? I go back to Eoghan. I know you've been talking a lot, but I think this may be your end of the business.
I'm sure
how do you actually capitalise when people start talking about you?
Yeah.
How do you turn that into tourists?
I think you need a sort of a steady, consistent marketing campaign and approach, shining a spotlight on the area. And unfortunately, our tourism agency has seen its budget cut by about €20 million over the last 4 years, and there's been no restoration of that. So we're constantly arguing that, you know, it's a very competitive space. A European that comes to Ireland could equally go to Scotland, or could go to the Lake District, and we have to make sure that we're front of mind for that consumer, and a lot of that comes down to how much marketing bucks we are investing in a particular campaign or a particular region. And unfortunately, the state funding of Tourism Ireland, which is the marketing agency, has been cut for the last 5 or 6 years and hasn't been restored, and that's got potentially very serious consequences. I mean, things are good at the moment tourism-wise, a lot of external factors in our favour, but I mean, you have things like Brexit coming down the tracks at us and so on. We will need to up our game in terms of shouting louder and longer about what Ireland has to offer, and that includes Donegal's beauties.
So we need to shout louder about Donegal. Thank you very much. Any more last question here? We've run out of a little bit of time. Thank you very much for our 3 panellists, to Joe, to Adrian, and to Eoghan, for giving up your time and coming and I found the discussion very, very interesting. I hope you as an audience did so as well. Míle maith Galéir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.